Welcome to Lazy Hype, where we talk all things wellness. Today we have my sister, colleague, best friend, work wife. I could go on and on. Autumn Zimmerman from Made Trends. Autumn, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So one of the main reasons why I wanted her here is not just because I love her so much, but also because she's going on this new journey of tacos and trends. She'll be launching a podcast very soon, so very excited for that. And she's currently hosting different events with Soho House, The Kin, Moss, all the trending co-working spaces and hosting her tacos and trends. So really excited for that new journey. Wanted you guys to hear all about it and also get to know her, get to know everything, all of her talents and everything that Made Trends is about. So Autumn,
Thanks, Liz.
yeah.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here. Where to start? Where should I start? Should I start with tacos and trends? The
Let's
most
start with
recent?
your background, like just what got you to start Made Trends and then evolutionize to tacos and trends.
From Made Trends to Tacos and Trends.
Yes.
Well, I've been trend forecasting for just over 15 years. I started in Europe for a buying office, and I've really seen an evolution of the business. I started before social media, before Facebook, and it was really like an analog kind of cool hunting job. I flew around, took pictures, wrote reports, and then later went on to work for some big agencies in New York. And after 10 years, decided, which was 10 years ago, to launch Made Trends and kind of have my own forecasting agency that I thought really had like ideas that were different than the other agencies. And we really had a methodology that could be applied to like a lot of different fields. And from that, I decided to launch Made is for merchandising and design experts, because when we originally started, it was just tons of product trend, which you know like a lot about, like what shoes are people wearing, what colors are people wearing, what are prints and patterns, what are fabrics. So we spent the beginning portion of Made Trends doing that, and then really just saw this like evolution into consumer research, market analysis, and then started building out like big business strategies.
Very cool. And then tacos and trends.
Tacos and Trends was an idea that we used to only use for our clients. So normally most of our clients are like retained for a year, 18 months, and every quarter we would host a lunch and learn called Tacos and Trends. The idea was, and I think you probably know this from like working together on different projects, I'm really into open communication and collaboration. I feel like it helps speed things up. And as you know, this is a business that needs to move fairly fast. So once a quarter we'd host Tacos and Trends, and we get people from different departments to come into this like lunch and learn, which is normally impossible to get like the marketing team, the design team, the business team all at the same table. And we decided to like break down barriers with tacos, because no one's trying to give up their lunchtime
No one's saying no.
just to listen to me talk.
Yeah.
So we hooked them with the tacos, and then it really worked out that people liked the informal format. They liked that I was more informal, my team was more informal, they could ask questions, and then we'd really help them like figure out like, okay, here's your takeaway and here's how the teams are going to work together. So we started doing Tacos and Trends in-house for clients pre-COVID, and then we'd host them sometimes like virtually during COVID. And now there had just been a lot of interest in like lunch and learns, community events, and I work out of Soho Works, and they had asked me if I'd be interested in rolling out the concept for them, and we hit the ground rolling, and it's been really positive, and the feedback's been really good.
Very cool. So your next one is based on wellness.
Yes.
What would you say, what made you choose wellness as a category?
Yeah.
And then what would you say is the latest, greatest wellness trend that we should be looking out for going after?
Yeah, definitely. Well, so I think what the idea with Tacos and Trends was to roll it out as a series. And the first part in this series is we present all the mega trends that we see that are going to affect like the next 3 to 5 to 10 years of business. And like continuously year after year, health and wellness continues to be one of the mega trends. And it's just like really evolved from like people wanting to wear like leggings and like athleisure to like people being very, very niche in health and wellness. Also, I think for us, what's always of interest is just how much the market spend is in that area. And we've seen a lot of money shifting from like traditional apparel buying to experiences and to health and wellness. And also with this like plight of like forever young, like people are getting older but not aging.
Mm.
So I think taking a deep dive into that, we've seen like a lot of our customers asking just to kind of understand who that customer is. And I think what we see as like the biggest trends is this, like people don't want to age, they want to stay young.
Mhm.
Like they want to look young, but they also want to have like young blood work. They want to like, right? They want to maximize this. And then the other like large area of that is like definitely like mental health and wellness, and then longevity. The obsession of like longevity, I think at the like extreme level, like Brian Johnson.
I mean, you know me. I
Yeah.
attend to summits. I'm the olive oil drinker. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's this idea like, oh, people, like if maybe people really do want to live longer, like one life isn't enough. Like, and also I think the idea being if you want to age, you don't want to get older, right? You don't want, it's not like you want to live to 100 to be stuck in like an aging, broken down body, right? You still want to be able to do what you want. You still want to be able to be active and feel and like look your best for sure.
So if you had to pick like one trend though that you think is worth the investment
Hmm.
within wellness,
Hmm.
what would you say we should go after?
I think longevity.
Okay.
I think it has like a really long, it has like it's a big blanket. We saw a lot of interest when this year and like whenever the documentary or last year when the documentary came out from like Blue Zones.
Mm.
And I think this idea that there's like tons of science and like tons of like chemicals and pills and things that you can do. But I think when the research shown from like the Blue Zones is that really kind of taking things back to basics, like having a healthy diet, living in community, having like passive activities rather than like hardcore exercise, all of like those barriers of entry to participate in that type of longevity are very low. So I think it's actually gives a lot of different people access to longevity where there's like it's not so extreme as like these like crazy investments into like pills and potions.
So, I feel like that's like a lot of like the physical investment, right?
Mhm.
But nowadays, a lot of people are talking about the mental investment with like Joe Dispenza.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that as well? Obviously, mental health being huge, but this like mechanism of like the quantum world, or the quantum mentality. What are your thoughts on that? Since that's like such a big trend right now, also.
I think that obviously like you can't chase every trend, right? And it has to be like what feels authentic to you. But I think from like a business standpoint, it's important to understand like what that means to like Gen Z specifically, which like we always talk about, and like understanding what their problems are and like understanding where their mindset is and where their heads are and like how that's a solution for them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think it's like not as much for like the older consumer, but a younger consumer is like definitely looking for something like new ideas that speak to them in like a new way.
Yeah.
So I think that that's really important. And I think that they're having struggles that we haven't seen other generations have. So I think, and they also have a world that other generations haven't had, right? With like technology and social media. So I think that making sure that they have like different solutions that feel comfortable and authentic to them, I think there's a big opportunity there.
I see. So to me, you're like the like number one market researcher, trend forecaster for many reasons, but and because
Thank
you're
you.
very talented. But how do you find time to stay ahead of the trends, analyze the trends, be a great friend, be a great mom, and look this beautiful?
Well, thank you. So I had said like a true friend. I think that it's really, really hard, and I think maybe the like acceptance of like and like that you can't like fulfill perfectionism in all areas is fine, right? Even if you're like not perfect at everything, if you just like try your best and figure out how to divide up the time and like, and I think honestly, like it's about like cutting the fat a lot, like things that you thought were important maybe aren't important. And I think from the trend perspective, I was actually thinking about that a ton. Like, on the way here. And I think, it's really just like a lifestyle because I think I'm always like curious by nature. Like I noticed this morning I was at the park with my son and I was like, what shoes are the kids wearing? Like after Christmas, like, do they have a new hat on? Like, what are the moms wearing? Like, I can't even like help myself. I'm just like incredibly interested in like people watching, and I'm like an avid reader for my whole life. So I love to like read everything. And I feel like normally I like to go down the rabbit hole of like why people are doing things. So I think that curious nature is definitely helps me like keep up with the trends. And I think also like who you surround yourself with as well. Like, on my team, we've had to add a lot of people from Gen Z just because I don't speak Gen Z. And so I'm like, I think understanding that you can't be the expert in everything and you need to like surround yourself with people who can be like more precise.
Yeah, this week I was with some Gen Zers and I was having to Google, ask questions, and it was frightening how I really didn't know
Yeah.
the lingo. I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
like, God, I'm getting old.
Yeah, no, I think that
Longevity.
like internet speak, right? Like I think I think you weren't at this presentation in New York last time, but we did a huge thing on internet speak. So we gave everyone in the audience had little pieces of paper with like different lingos from like Gen Z and different like pop off queen, like tons of like Riz King, like tons of different ones. And
I
so
still don't know what Riz means.
I'm
Does
not
that
sure that I remember what it means either.
anybody?
I can't remember. I was too nervous about this whole part of the event, but I think it was interesting to have like a lot of like middle-aged professionals like stand up and like say these like phrases and admit that like, oh, I have no idea what that means, and then have like the Gen Z like group on the like the right side like giggling and trying to explain it, but also seeing that like it sometimes like doesn't translate, like they couldn't explain it. They're like, well, and I can
Yeah.
remember being young and like using things and being like, well,
Yeah, or like within the context, I learned, like I'm telling you, it was like this week. The word hard means like cool,
yeah.
and I used it in the wrong context, and you can imagine how inappropriate
Yeah.
it sounded when I said it.
Yeah.
And I didn't click until later because I was like, oh my God, I just used it in the wrong
Yeah.
context and it's supposed to mean like cool.
Yeah. No, it's tricky. It's very tricky. No, but I think the idea of balance like is maybe also sometimes unattainable, right? I think you just like get done what you can get done.
How do you like what tools or what do you use for like self-care? Because it's all balance and of course it's like imperfect,
Yeah.
but you also kind of have to like nurture yourself, right?
Yeah.
So like what are some things that you suggest when you're just like a busy mom, entrepreneur, and just friend, everything
Yeah.
to like your toolbox?
I think I'm like a huge believer, and this is like pre hot girl walk. I'm like really into walking. So I'm like really into walking either like in silence or like a very active like power walk with like crazy music. Or I like to like call like friends. I also take a lot of business calls while walking because I think it helps like quiet my mind.
Mhm.
Or after a bad call, there'll be a long walk as well.